Hello everyone and welcome to Homeschooling with Hera. In today's video, I will give you a short explanation about tricky words, sight words and high frequency words. I have already uploaded some videos on these topics, but we still have some confusion and people keep asking about this, so I thought to make another new video for you. Before I take you any further, let me quickly tell you that if you want to get the worksheets or you can say the freebies for tricky words, please check the description box. There you will find a link to my website where I have given you the freebies for tricky words. Moreover, if you want to learn in depth about these things and how to teach these concepts of words to kids, you should still have a look at the description box where you will find in-depth video around these topics. But in today's video, I'll just quickly give you an overview about what are tricky words, sight words, and high frequency words. Let's dive in. Okay, so tricky words, as the name predicts, that this is something that can trick someone. So tricky words are the words that trick our kids because their spelling and their pronunciation is different. They are not pronounced as we write them. For example, if we write the word some, to write some, we write SOME, which according to the phonics rule should be pronounced as som. However, we read it as SUM, some. This is the pronunciation, this is the spelling. And this difference in spelling and pronunciation makes the word some a tricky word because it tricks our little learners. In the English language, we have many tricky words, but yes, some nice people have listed the commonly used tricky words. You can find those lists on Google. Go for the Dolch list, go for the Fry list, and the easiest list to follow is Jolly Phonics tricky word list. You can also download it for free from Jolly Phonics website. I will share the link of this list in the description box as well if you want to download that. And if you want to get the cards for the 72 Jolly Phonics tricky words, you can also get them from my website. Now let's move a little further. Why tricky words are tricky and why should we teach them to our kids? We need to teach tricky words to our kids because they appear frequently in the text. If we don't teach tricky words to kids, it will be difficult for them to read chapter books or you can say grade level books. Now, in tricky words, we have two different types. Tricky words can be irregular and they can be regular. What are irregular tricky words? Irregular tricky words are the tricky words that have a fair difference between their pronunciation and spelling. For example, come, for example, said. In these words, you can see that we are writing something else, we are saying something else. For this word, we pronounce it as said instead of said, right? So this irregular thingy, this irregularity of spelling makes it more challenging for kids to memorize the words. Some other words can become some, should, could, would because they all are irregular tricky words. If I cut long story short, irregular words do not follow their phonic sounds of letters. Whatever letters are given here, they all do not follow their phonic sounds. That's why it becomes difficult for kids to decode them, right? On the other hand, we have regular tricky words. Regular tricky words are the words which can be decoded, but to decode them, we need some advanced phonics skills that we haven't taught our young learner at the time when they are reading these words. For example, the words like me, he, she, by, all these words are tricky words for our young learners because they don't know that a single letter E can also say the long sound. If a kindergartner read this word with decoding, he will say meh or he or she because they only know the short sounds here. However, these words follow a simple English spelling rule that we say open syllable rule, and open syllable rule says that if you have a vowel at the end of a word or a syllable, it says its long sound. That's why me, he, she, and by, why saying the I sound here, are saying their long sounds. Now, these words can also be tricky words for kids, not because their spelling is something else. It is because they do not know this rule at the moment when they are reading these words, right? So, this is the story of regular and irregular tricky words. Now, let's quickly jump on to sight words. What are sight words? How they are different from tricky words? It's easy peasy to understand. A sight word can be any word which one can look and say. For example, to me, when I was a kid, my name was a sight word as well because I could see my name and I can say it. Once I learned the spelling, I never tried to decode it, and it happens with every child. Their names are sight words to them. They can look and say them. Moreover, sight words don't need any decoding skill. For example, if the word is written somewhere and your child has memorized, it is fixed in his memory that this word is. So he doesn't even bother to go for the sounding out process. Okay. Sight words are automatic response. To us as adults, most of the English words, if we read English regularly, so you must have noticed that you don't literally read each and every word with their spelling. You simply just have a look and keep reading. So to us, most of the words are sight words now, but to kids, obviously, this number count is much lesser. So to them, sight words vocabulary can be different. A child who is a good learner or a gifted child, he might have 100 words vocabulary of sight words, and a child who is struggling with reading may have 10 words vocabulary for sight words. He might read only 10 words when he look and say, but a gifted child can read 100 words when he looks at them, right? So it is an automatic response to say the word when you see it. And this thing I have already explained that the sight words vocabulary may differ from person to person, from kid to kid. Now, something more about sight words. In the sight word vocabulary, you can have tricky words, okay, because you can just look and say the tricky words, and from these tricky words they may be regular tricky words, they may be irregular tricky words. A sight word can be any word which the children can look and say, right? Let's move forward to high frequency words. Now, high frequency words are the words which appear repeatedly in text. The name high frequency words is telling us something about itself, that they appear frequently in text. Now, what type of words they can be? They can be is, am, are, the, was, can, and many more. You just think for a while that when we are reading a book, how many times do we get the word is, am, are, was, were? They are frequently used words, right? They are high frequency words in English text. And to some children, these high frequency words become sight words quickly, easily, okay? Because they keep looking at them, keep reading them. So their memory absorbs them, that these are the words and they are pronounced like this. So high frequency words can become sight words to some children, and some children may still struggle because they might trick them as well. So they keep on trying to pronounce or read them with their phonic sound. For this, what we have to do as teachers, we need to help them memorize these tricky words or high frequency words with some games, with some activity papers. And for this, you can watch the video that I'm leaving in the description box. Also, check out the heart word method. I'm writing it here. Please check out the heart word method to teach tricky words or high frequency word. It is an SOR based method. SOR means science of reading based method. It really works, and this is logical as well. No cramming, go with the logic of English spelling. Okay, and with this is the end of our today's session. I hope that now you have got a clearer idea about what are tricky words, sight words, and high frequency words. Do check out the website to get the freebies. That's all for today. I'll see you soon with something new. Take care. Bye for now. And don't forget to make it a great day. Bye.